So let's look to the future now of the URC and talk about the much rumoured British and Irish League / English teams joining the URC. So it feels very much at this point like this is something that is going to happen, that there is a lot of willpower behind it, and we've all heard things separately about how far along the road it might or might not be, and who's got the willpower to be making it happen. I guess, Caolan, we discussed it on your podcast previously. Is it definitely going to happen in your opinion, or is it going to? Some people think it's going to die and not come to fruition.
In my opinion, I think something will happen. I think there will be a change, because I think the fact that the IRFU, and I don't know if it was the RFU or the PRL or one of them, have come out and made comments on it and have not said no, it's never going to happen, I think is a sign that there's at least tentative talks going on. From what I've heard, and this backs up what you've heard and what plenty of others have heard, is these talks have not just been coming since the day that article went out in the Daily Telegraph. I believe it was the Telegraph, not 100% sure. They've been going on for a while. The only question that I can see is, will we see a British and Irish League, or will we see a URC plus? That's really what I boil it down to. I will put on the Irish fan hat here, and I don't think it's in Irish rugby's best interest to just join up with the English for a multitude of reasons. One of them being they would absolutely run away if things improved over there, and that's not a position you want to be in. I think South Africa is a bigger market. I think South Africa is a growing market with budding rivalries. We've heard of John Dobson saying that he's got into pubs on Saturday evenings and they're watching Munster against Glasgow, and they're watching, Leinster against Scarlets or whoever else. That's the market you want to be in. So I wouldn't kick them out of the bed, whatever we do. I wouldn't be in favour of British and Irish League. It has to be URC plus Premiership if we're going to see anything. But I think the talks are ongoing. I think I would give it maybe a 60% chance of something already being signed, even if it's just signing an agreement to say that we're going to formal talks. Like I give it a fairly good chance that at least some clear legal movement has been made, just based on what I've heard for a few months now. And yeah, will it happen? Not the one to say, but no smoke without fire, I guess.
Yeah, I'd just love to know how. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Hugh.
I was just going to say, I mean, they're all owned by CVC or majority shareholder of CVC. So why would CVC not look to join the dots? And there's definitely been toes dipped in waters. If you look at, what did the Ospreys get a nod and a wink from someone at the URC to say, hey, why didn't you try staging a game in London, see how that goes? Or there was the rumours about the West Country derby between Gloucester and Bristol, I think, being held in Cardiff. Now we've seen that the Lions, the Premiership and the URC are working together to make the British and Irish Lions more smooth, shall we say. So it feels like there's things going on that are kind of easing us into it a little bit, if I'm here with my conspiracy theory hat on, which I do like to wear. What is your feeling when you see this discussion? Does it make you excited or does it make you tentative?
Just one thing on CBC, I don't think they have a majority in any league. I just think they've made a substantial investment in those. I don't think that they're necessarily controlling everything. But going to me, I just don't know how a British and Irish league works. If we're gonna for me, where do you leave your South African teams, and where especially do you leave your Italian teams? I just can't see how you can, we already have 16 teams in the URC. Then we add what's in the Prem now, 10 or 11? I think it's 10.
10.
How does that work? I just don't know. Where does this leave the Champions Cup? Where does this leave the Challenge Cup? I really just don't know
Champions Cup
how it
gone.
works.
If we go British and Irish League, forget about it. Just do a semi-finals and a final, and don't even give it the EPCR. Actually, don't give anything to the EPCR, to be honest, because they'd run it into the ground. But just have almost a Super Bowl like competition of just playing off, and then just do a game with the French, because you might as well forget about it. I think it doesn't work in any way unless we go down to like, so what are we saying? It's 26 teams, potentially 28 teams, unless we go down to 14 team divisions, 13 team divisions, and only play each other once. I don't really see the time and the space to keep going. As we touched upon earlier, you can't keep looking for more games. This isn't soccer. You can't do it on the body. You can't do it. It's too strenuous.
Yeah, it would just have to be. It looks like it would just have to be, 2 tiers of it. And look, and when we're talking about the Solon system, we're talking about the Heineken Cup, taking that away just for me just seems like it's rugby shooting itself. But look, I don't know. Just for me as well, one thing on this proposed British and Irish League, I just don't see, like, I know there's been a lot of negativity in the Prem, given what happened last year in terms of the financials and everything. I just don't see how, like, a British and Irish League will necessarily stop clubs going under or stop the rot. Like, I just, like, if you have private ownership and you have, investors coming in and who aren't going to make a return, and if they just pull out, then a club goes under. I just can't see how that is sustainable in a sport that isn't even that big to begin with. I just, like, for me, like, with the situation with the Prem at the moment, the only, I don't know, the only logical solution for me, I think, is just going the IRFU route / New Zealand route, where you just get everybody employed by the IRFU, and you let the union control everything, and you get these private owners out of there, or you have them investing in another capacity. Because I just don't see how, like, if you're going to introduce a new league that gets a massive TV deal or whatever, I don't know, and you're going to have more games, or you're going to have more people at games, like, but if you still have people back in these clubs and these clubs aren't making a profit at the end of the season, I just don't see how that's sustainable. For me, that's the issue, and I think for me, like, the solution there is going down the Irish route, which I think is the most sustainable. I don't know what you guys think about me. I just don't think necessarily, like, if we have a British and Irish League, English rugby is saved and all the clubs will be fine. I just think that's a bit narrow-minded.
I might just play devil's advocate there, because without sounding like the arrogant Irish rugby fan, of which there are plenty, and I'm not one, if you're the English clubs, there is something to be said that playing the Irish sides every year is very profitable, because the Irish fans do travel. You look at it, even Munster play Exeter in 3 weeks' time, and I'm in a group of Munster fans, and there's a heap going from that, and that's just one section. The Irish fans do travel. I think there is, like, you look at a club like, say, Sale. They played Ulster last year. They got a good Ulster support at the game, even though it was like -2 degrees on game day. There's always something to be said. Like, these decisions are never made in isolation. That will be one of the factors. You have clubs that will travel. You have Welsh regions who say they will travel, and obviously, as Hugh discussed before, whether the fans put their money where their mouth is an entirely different question. But there's definitely scope to think that joining up would help, especially for away support.
Yeah, I think for me it's got well, just to your point first, I think if you're Harlequins or Saracens or someone based in London, you might host an Irish team, and suddenly you're looking around saying, like, where did you all come from? Like,
it's happened before. It's happened plenty of times before.
But I think it's got a real strong potential to backfire for the English if they get it wrong, because all of those issues that we've just talked about with the URC, the reasons that people don't like it, there will be people in England who would cotton onto those and just start banging those drums as well. And something that I can definitely vouch for from a Welsh fan's point of view is if there are people in the media who are against it, even if it's only half a dozen voices, and we can all probably guess who they would be in England's case, they can have a sway, and they will be banging that drum every week and in the paper, on the TV, just saying how rubbish, how awful it is. And especially if your middle of the road English Premiership teams do suddenly find themselves getting absolutely battered down in South Africa or over in Ireland every other week, then it's the classic thing of, on my team's doing rubbish, like, I'm not going to watch this. Well, who's coming? Who are we playing? Leinster. All right, okay. Well, they're going to absolutely smash us. Okay, well, I'm not going to watch that. And then that, to your point of, does that stop English clubs going bust? So I think it has potential, and I do feel like it is more likely to happen than not. But whether it would be a complete save all, I don't know if all 10 English teams will be there to see it, to be honest.